Okay, so before we start, I'm Rachel.
I'm Layla.
And have any of you guys ever used the Web 2.0 tool called Rubistar? If you have, raise your hands. Oh, you've used it? Oh, cool. Oh, we'll ask your opinion about it later. Okay, so the Web 2.0 tool that we're doing is obviously called Rubistar, and the website is rubistarforteachers.org. And to just kind of begin, basically the tool is what it sounds like. It's a guide for making rubrics, so it's mainly focused for teachers. It's not really for the students, but as pre-service teachers, it's obviously going to be helpful because we're all going to eventually have to make a rubric at some point or another in our lives. And so this is why we figured this would be an especially cool tool to focus on because, like I said, we're going to need to make rubrics. But basically, it provides templates for grading different subject area projects, and there's so many different options. Like when you go on there, they already have like these pre-made templates, and there's some for like oral presentations or persuasive essays or collaborative work skills, problem solving. There's so many, so that's really neat. System requirements, just like everything else that we've been talking about. Really, you just need internet and a computer, and then you need to create a membership with just a username and a login. So that's pretty simple. And it's free. So there's no, you're not limited at any certain point. You can always just, it's always free. You don't have to pay at all. So that's really nice.
Alright, our experience with Rubistar, we found it very simple, self-explanatory, in which we enjoyed that. Simple and self-explanatory, it's great for us. So the pre-made rubrics were very fledged out, and it was good for like a short notice situation, like if you have a test the next day, or not test, like a presentation, and if we're procrastinating, delaying making the rubric, it's nice to have something that's pre-made. It also allows you to customize the rubrics, which is nice. You can make it personal, you can add your own flair and your own grading techniques, and overall we're just very impressed with it.
Alright, so we're going to just go ahead and kind of show you go with our demonstration right now. So as I mentioned, the website that you go to is just rubistar.forteachers.org, and then it's kind of weird how they have you create your account, but you just use your first initial and then your last name. They want your zip code. I think that's for searching purposes because part of this website is you can search other teachers' rubrics, so that might be why you have the zip code, and then just whatever your password is. So then we wait. Okay, so then it brings you up to this page, and just like any other website, you have your toolbar towards the top. And some of the features are you can find already pre-made rubrics, which Layla's going to kind of show you how to go towards that route in a second. Then you can create your own rubric. We'll look at that in a second. There's the teacher home, and I'm pretty sure all this is any rubrics that you've created yourself or that you've used in the past. It just kind of keeps a log of those. And then edit your profile. This is just your personal information, your login information. So if it, you move or anything like that, you can always update that. And there's a tutorial, which is what it is. And then there's a logout button, which I just logged out, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to log back in. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pretend that we're gonna create a rubric. So if you look here, these are just some pre-made rubrics that they have for different subject areas. And Layla and I are both integrated language arts majors, so we'll go ahead and click on this persuasive essay. But then you can go ahead and attach your first name and your last name to it, and then whatever you want to name it. So let's say we're going to do like Romeo and Juliet, and then whatever zip code. And then they already have these pre-made categories with like if they're meeting standards, if they're above standards, if they're below. You can also change any of these to make them whatever you feel is necessary. Also, the different categories, like if you're going to do a persuasive essay, attention grabber is normally the first thing that you want. But if you don't like any of the things they have here, I think you can also, down here, make your own name for it, so that's also nice. And you can also, if there's something in any of these boxes that you don't like, you can take it out and add your own, and then just hit, reset, and it'll go to what you have. And then you just do that all the way down. They have so many boxes, so that really, I don't even think you would ever need to add any boxes because there's so many there. So that's really nice. And then Layla is going to show you how to, if you needed to find a rubric.
Alright, so say it's last minute and you haven't created your own custom rubric. You can go to Find Rubric, and sticking with the theme of Romeo and Juliet, I'm just going to type in Romeo. And maybe it'll load. Alright. And then there's already like a persuasive essay here. They have like the position statement, and they clearly customize their own options and like standards for each different category. And if the person didn't want their rubric up anymore, you have the option to delete it so that people can't use your rubric. And that's kind of just your own personal decision there, whether you want to leave it up for other teachers to use or not.
Yeah, and if you, Layla, if you go back to the create your rubric,
Yeah.
when you go to it, I forgot to show this, click on the persuasive essay one again, please. And then if you go down here to, you can make your rubric temporary so that it's only there for like a week. Again, that's like, if I was going to create an example for this class, I could just make it temporary and then it would go away. But then you can also make it permanent, and then that'll put it on the whole website so that if other teachers, you know, if they find it, they can use it as well. So that's kind of how to navigate the website, how to use it. It's pretty simple, self-explanatory. The best part about it is you can change it and make it whatever you need it to say for whatever project that you're doing. Did you like it when you used? Do you use it often, or?
I use sometimes, but not recently. What I found is a nice way to do this. You look at how other people evaluate the project. Because as a teacher, you, especially for a new teacher, you give an assignment to your student. And what are the kind of contents you want to evaluate? Well, sometimes you can look at how other people, they create a rubric, and then you get some ideas about that, okay?
Right.
So, well, that would be a good kind of help for kind of a very good kind of place for new teachers.
And that's something that, like you always talked about. I remember in our educational psychology class, they always, or my professor was always talking about how if you make like a project, you want to make sure that it is, you know, evaluating what you actually wanted to evaluate, because sometimes that's not always the case. So using these rubrics as a basis, like to base that off of, would also be helpful. All right. And getting back to our presentation. Well, I guess we're supposed to play.
All right. We found it applicable for pretty much like any subject area, since if there's grading involved, a rubric is always helpful to show like a fair evaluation for each student. For math, you can access rubrics for graphs. It has like categories such as the X and Y axis, title, your table provided by the students. In science, you can use a lab report rubric, which like evaluates their hypothesis, the experiment, its repeatability, the data received. And then for English, you can use like the persuasive essay rubric that we demonstrated. Some pros, there are countless options as you saw. You can customize it, which is nice. You can edit it. The criteria can be based on like your own individual standards for the class and for your students. And then some cons would just be like the potential for teachers to go ahead and take your rubric, which again, you can decide whether or not you want it to be a permanent rubric or not. So it's really like there isn't too many cons to it. We have these videos that we found on YouTube. We just typed in Rubistar tutorials, and basically you could search the same. We'll play a little bit of the top one.
But basically, if you go to use this 5 years down the road and you're like, I forgot everything about what those two girls were talking about that one day in class. If you just type this into YouTube, there's 3 parts, and she's really, really good at talking about it. So we'll just watch like the first minute of one, and just so you can see.
Hi, my name is Amber Rowland. I work for the Advanced Learning Technologies and Education Consortium, or ALTEC. We're a division of the Center for Research on Learning at the University of Kansas. Many of you might know us as HPR-Tech or SCR-Tech. We've been around for about 10 years. Our main mission is to help teachers integrate technology into the classroom. And one way that we went about that was to create tools online that are free for anyone to use anywhere in the world. One of the ones that we're going to highlight today is Rubistar. And Rubistar was designed to help teachers make rubrics online. The first place I'm going to take you is altec.org. At this site, you can see all the different tools that Alltech has to offer. Several of them are listed, but you'll see that Rubistar, the one we're going to talk about today, is at the top. Rubistar allows you to do several different things. First of all, you can use it as a resource. You can go in and do a keyword search. You can go in and find rubrics that other teachers...
Basically, she's just going to go ahead and talk about everything that we already did, but another nice thing about that video was talking about that alltech.org, so that's another place that you can access, like she said, free Web 2.0 tools, which we're learning a lot about, but it's pretty helpful. But that's it. Does anybody have any questions about the website? Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, so overall we think that our presentation went pretty smoothly. The flow went really nice. We worked well off of each other. We didn't really have any issues with the internet, so that was nice. And all the technology was working well for us, so that was also nice.
Any cons that we would point out would just be that we tend to use filler words like so or like, and then just the glare that was on the smartboard, which we think might just be because of the bulb. But if there was any way we'd avoid that, we would like to know it. So.
And that's it.